Follow the trend, tend to benefit while avoiding harm. Hello everyone, this is Mr. D. Today, I want to share with you the other situation of the three transmissions. The prostrate mode. Before introducing the prostrate mode, you need to know this basic knowledge. There are many kinds of relationships among the 12 terrestrial branches, and the three tortures is one of them. The relationship of the three tortures implies injury, mutilation, and harm. There are three kinds of the tortures: self-torture, interactive torture, group torture. There are 4 terrestrial branches that is self-torture, and they are E, J, G, L. E tortures E, J tortures J, G tortures G, L tortures L. Self-torture means that someone tortures himself. The implication of self-torture is that one person's arrogance caused the event to fail. For example, in this course, the upper symbol of the first lesson is G, and the middle transmission is also G. Because G is self-torture, we can infer that there is self-harm and self-sabotage in the event that we are trying to predict. There are 2 terrestrial branches that is interactive torture, and they are A, D. A tortures D, D tortures A. The implication of interactive torture is that someone in the lower ranks hurt those who are higher than him or her. For example, the son takes the initiative to conflict with his father, and the poor person takes the initiative to conflict with the rich person. It also implies a fornicating relationship and a friend who hurt you secretly. There are 2 groups terrestrial branches that is group torture. Group 1 is CFI. C tortures F, F tortures I tortures C. The implication of group torture of CFI is that someone hurts or framed someone who has been a favor to him. Group 2 is BHK. B tortures K, K tortures H, H tortures B. The implication of group torture of BHK is that someone bullies others by relying on their own power and social status. The rush implies restlessness, vacillation, fluctuation. 2 people or things in opposite positions. 2 people or things are in conflict with each other. 6 pairs of terrestrial branches have relationship of the rush, and the influence of this relationship is mutual. A and G rush to each other. B and H rush to each other. C and I rush to each other. D and J rush to each other. E and K rush to each other. F and L rush to each other. When we see the existence of the rush in the course, whether it is good or bad for us depends on the actual situation. When there is a symbol that is not good to us in the 3 transmissions, if there is a symbol that has the relationship of the rush with that symbol in the 4 lessons, we can infer from this that bad thing will be rushed away. Of course, it is not good for us if good things are rushed away. In Liu Ren, the earth plate will never change, but the heaven plate changes with the change of the divination date. We put the 12 generals of the month of the divination date on the hour of the divination date, and then arrange the heaven plate in the order of the 12 terrestrial branches. Because the symbol for the 12 generals of the month is the 12 terrestrial branches, and the hour of the divination date is also the 12 terrestrial branches. When the 12 generals of the month of the divination date is the same as the hour of the divination date, then the heaven plate and the earth plate will be the same. This kind of combination of the heaven plate and the earth plate is like a person prostrating there, unable to move, moaning all the time. That's why this kind of course is called the prostrate moan. I will use several examples to show the forms of 3 transmissions of the prostrate moan. In the prostrate moan, because the palace of heavenly stem of R is E, when this heavenly stem is R, the upper symbol of the first lesson must be the E. Because wood restricts earth, we take E as the first transmission. Because E is self-torture, we need to use upper symbol of the third lesson, which is H, as the middle transmission. Because H tortures B, we use B as the last transmission. In the prostrate moan, because the palace of heavenly stem of R is E, when the date's heavenly stem is R, the upper symbol of the first lesson must be the E. Because wood restricts earth, we take E as the first transmission. Because E is self-torch, we need to use upper symbol of the third lesson, which is J, as the middle transmission. Because J is also self-torch, we need to use the symbol that have a relationship of the rush with J as the last transmission. According to this diagram, it is D, so we use D as the last transmission. In the prostrate moan, because the palace of heavenly stem of Z is B, when the date's heavenly stem is Z, the upper symbol of the first lesson must be the B. Because the earth restricts water, we take B as the first transmission. Because B tortures K, we use K as the middle transmission. Because K tortures H, we use H as the last transmission. In this course, the date's heavenly stem is Jia, which is Q. Because the attribute of Q is Yang, we take upper symbol of the first lesson, which is C, as the first transmission. Because C tortures F, we use F as the middle transmission. Because F tortures I, we use I as the last transmission. In this course, the date's heavenly stem is Ren, which is Y. Because the attribute of Y is Yang, we take the upper symbol of the first lesson, which is L, as the first transmission. Because L is self-torture, we use the upper symbol of third lesson, which is K, as the middle transmission. Because K tortures H, we use H as the last transmission. In this course, the date's heavenly stem is Ren, which is Y. Because the attribute of Y is Yang, we take upper symbol of the first lesson, which is L, as the first transmission. Because L is self-torch, we use the upper symbol of the third lesson, which is E, as the middle transmission. Because E is self-torch, we need to use the symbol that have a relationship of the rush with E as the last transmission. According to this diagram, it is K, so we use K as the last transmission. In this course, the date's heavenly stem is Ji, which is Wei. Because the attribute of Wei is Yin, we take upper symbol of the third lesson, which is B, as the first transmission. Because B tortures K, we use K as the middle transmission. Because K tortures H, we use H as the last transmission. In this course, the date's heavenly stem is Ding, which is T. Because the attribute of T is yin, we take upper symbol of the third lesson, which is J, as the first transmission. Because J is self-torch, we use the upper symbol of first lesson, which is H, as the middle transmission. Because H torches B, we use B as the last transmission. Finally, let me summarize briefly. We determine the first transmission according to the attribute of the heavenly stem of the date's name. The determination of the middle transmission and the last transmission depends on the relationship of the three torches. If the symbol is self-torture, we use the symbol in the one of four lessons, or the relationship that is the rush. When you get 4 lessons and 3 transmissions like this, it indicates that your current situation is to stay in place and unable to move. In the end, good things will not succeed, and bad things will also not succeed. Your mood is not smooth, and you are too restricted in doing things. The matter cannot be advanced, but you want to advance it very much. The best option for you is to stay where you are and wait for opportunities. If the attribute of this heavenly stem is yang, you are now more suitable to continue to wait for the opportunity. If you act recklessly, then you will definitely make mistakes, and eventually disaster will happen. If you have to act, the main reason for success or failure is yourself, and you will definitely act in a very radical way. If the attribute of this heavenly stem is yin, you shouldn't take any action. You need to wait for a better opportunity. If you act, your luck will be very bad. You need to examine whether your actions violate the law or unspoken rules that everyone agrees with. Only if you act in accordance with the rules, there will be no disaster. The main reason for the success or failure of this event is based on others. If others succeed, you will succeed. If others fail, you will also fail. Subscribe. Be your own prophet.